Good morning, YouTube. Man, it's been a while since I had a dedicated video where I got to talk to you guys, but I got something special for you today. I got a chance to early play test Ramattra. I have some opinions on this hero, but first up, I'm going to break down all of his abilities, damage numbers to best I can figure out. I did some testing with it. His ult's a little bit difficult to figure out exactly until it officially goes live and we can use some workshop code stuff. Regardless though, I wanted to do a breakdown of the hero first, before I give you opinions of what I think about the hero, as well as where I think he will fit in Season 2 of Overwatch. So first up for Ramattra, we have his primary fire, his left click. It looks like this. It feels a lot like Orissa's old left click, however, it seems to be a little bit slower traveling. Watch the back wall here. You can actually see how long it takes for the trail to follow me. You can see the sparks on the wall. A good bit behind me, so it's a pretty decently slow projectile, but it has 0 fall off. It does 4 damage per bullet, with headshots doing 9 damage per bullet. So this is just, you know, hitting every shot. It's a very good poking tool. It felt really good. Honestly, this was probably my favorite form of Ramattra. I promise I'm trying to keep opinions to the end. But I actually liked the staff form here, being able to walk around a lot more than the punching form. And this is what headshots look like. This is pretty good at hitting tanks up close. Hitting anything else is a lot more difficult to hit consistent headshots with, as the travel time is pretty slow, so it's not like a hit scan, and it's not that forgiving like, you know, say a Hanzo arrow for projectile. Next up, we have his shield. His shield is 1000 HP, and it lasts for 4 seconds off a 15-second cooldown. As you see in the bottom right-hand corner, as it comes off of cooldown here, I will use it again. The cooldown starts immediately when you use it, so the cooldown is actually about 11 seconds from when it finishes. So as I put it up, 15 seconds cooldown begins. As you can see, the timer bar at the top here on the shield meter. There's a timer for it, very similar to Winston Bubble. It lasts for 4 seconds. It's a pretty decent tool. I wouldn't say it's that crazy strong, but it's definitely nice for taking space and engaging. Next up, one of the abilities that's got people talking the most, I would say, is his Vortex. His Vortex pulls people to the ground, and I will have some more footage after. I'll have Emong step in and help me out a little bit to show you what that looks like against moving players. But basically, it does small ticks of damage, up to 45 damage total if you stay in it for the entire time. It does about 3 damage per tick, and it also makes it so you cannot jump. So if you're like flying around on Mercy or flying around on Fair or Echo, you get sucked down to the ground. I'll show you later, but as a spoiler alert, the cylinder for this hitbox is actually not as tall as I hoped. But this is what it looks like. So anything in this circle will be sucked down to the ground. Any type of vertical movement is suspended, but horizontal movement, it is a slowing effect, so they will be slowed, and I will show you that again here in a few minutes. But it's much more vertical than horizontal. Horizontal movement abilities like Sojourn Slide actually can get out immediately. So, one more time for you. And then that's on a 12-second cooldown. That can also be used in his Nemesis form, which I'll show you here, which is his big, brawly punching form. These each do 60 damage per punch. So, realistically, what you want to be doing on Ramattra is to be getting up close to pop his Nemesis form to be dealing damage. However, though, the hitbox is not as forgiving as you might think it is. If I pop it here, it looks like it's a pretty big, you know, hitter. Almost, you know, it reminds you almost of like an in-between a Rhine swing and, you know, a Winston, you know, Tesla left click, because it looks like it grabs a decent amount of people, and which it also travels through enemies. I'll show you more at the end when I got Emong, but that also goes through Rhine Shield and Winston Bubble and whatnot. But It looks like it's the most powerful form of his kit. Didn't feel that way in practice, I'll say, but this is about the hitbox on it. So, it's not that bad, but in very chaotic team fights where you're fighting up close and you're doing a lot of heavy mouse movements to track, because it is a brawling character, it has about 10 meters of range, so this is about the range that you will be able to reach with your punches. About here, maybe a little bit longer than 10. I can try it one more time. And so about, let's say 11. Let's say 11 or 12. We'll say 12. It actually seemed that was weird there. I actually, when I moved back, was still able to hit him. Maybe because I'd already let go of the punch. One more time. Yeah, so about this. So about 12 meters. A lot of times you actually want to be fighting up close. And I will say it doesn't feel that easy to hit up close, but it's not the worst. The other ability in his Nemesis form is to block. This is about 50% damage reduction, which also stacks with his armor, which can make it so, especially when you use his ultimate, let's say in last fight situations where you're sitting on the cart, and they have to not step off the cart, so, to let you cap. If you're taking a lot of damage, blocking and basically sitting there and just getting pumped heals, you can survive for a very, very long time. Is it very fun? That's a different question. We'll talk opinions later. The other thing about his Nemesis form is he actually can still use his Vortex. So even if I'm doing some, some other stuff, his Vortex can be used. I still got it. And yeah, I can just keep rolling with the punches. Lastly, his ultimate, I want to throw a tank over here just so I can keep it going the whole time. His ultimate activates his Nemesis form. So this is my regular Nemesis form, and actually this is the way I believe it can be used best, is you use the whole Nemesis form for 8 seconds, Nemesis form finishes, boom, you pop ultimate, go right back into Nemesis form. This way it's kind of like, it's never ending. It's got a pretty decent range on it, I'd say about 10 meters. I'll see if I can test, actually no, it's a little bit further. You can actually see the circle, so you don't have to take my word for it. About 15 meters, maybe, give or take. I think this will be extremely effective, especially against, like, lower-ranked players, like your gold and plat. I think this is going to be an absolute crazy pub-stopping tank. Again, giving opinions midway through. But the most useful, I would say, for, like, end-fight situations is being able to block during this. Since they can't step off the cart, they can't run away from you. But there is one thing I should let you know, because I did this by mistake, and I don't want you to make the same mistake. I don't know if this is an intended feature or a bug, but you actually can accidentally cancel the ults. So I'm going to farm up ult again here really quick, and I'm going to pop his ult. So I'm in Nemesis form, and if you click shift, it actually cancels your ult. I'm not sure why you would want to do that, but be very careful using his ultimate, because if you do click shift while using his ultimate, you will cancel it. Alright, now that I got someone to help me test, there's one thing that kind of bothers me and stuck out to me is the marketing for Vortex was talking about pulling down, Mercy out of the sky, Pharah out of the sky, etc. The actual pull is not that tall. So I'm going to have Emog fly into the sky here real quick on Pharah. Whenever you're ready. And actually, like, stay in the air. So, as he stays in the height of Pharah would actually be staying in, you actually want to reset your jets really quick just to make it easier. Okay. Most good Pharahs know how to play without ever touching the ground. As you've been seeing through our rendition here, there's very few times where he comes low enough that I'm actually going to grab him. So, as the tank to fight against Pharah Mercy, I'm not so sure about that. So sticking with the theme of talking about the Pharah Echo and, restricting their movement, in my opinion, it doesn't even really work with Echo either. As if Echo has her flight online, she does like a burst where she does like a barrel roll and like gets the initial boost of speed. If you do that from any point within the circle, you can get out scot-free and then fly up. The only thing I would say is, like, somewhat limiting is that you can't like do the barrel roll straight up. You have to barrel roll out and then go up. But you'll see here. Like, as the tank that's supposed to really like pull people down and restrict their movements, I don't really know. We'll do it one more time just to show you one last time. I don't think it's that good.
Can Mercy Guardian Angel out of Vortex?
Put them in the ground.
As you can see, if Mercy does hold Guardian Angel going out of the Vortex, Mercy is able to get out. If Mercy doesn't, Mercy will be stuck in the Vortex. An example of this would be like this.
Devour them.
As you can see, Mercy can't.
Sticking with the theme of Echo, it actually applies to other characters like Sojourn as well, where Sojourn's slide actually completely propels her out of the vortex. So it really doesn't slow them down at all. The only thing it would stop them from doing is the jump, if the jump was happening within the vortex. Let me show you.
Put them in the ground.
It's like it's almost like Sojourn's slow, but worse. The one cool thing about Nemesis form with Ramattra, though, is the punches go through shields. I say cool because it's a cool concept, but it also goes through Defense Matrix, Sigma Suck, any shield, and unblockable damage, I'm not a huge fan of. But regardless, though, you can do it. Let me show you what that looks like. So it actually damages the bubble, as well as does damage to him. As you can see, the bubble's cracking. So that's how Ramattra's punches in Nemesis form work with shields. Now, before anyone panics and goes like, oh, Ramattra punching through shields, though, like, oh, that's so powerful. There's also another big drawback. Ramattra's ult actually is blocked by shields. That's Sigma Shield, Winston Bubble, Ramattra, well, I guess Ramattra, I don't know, Ramattra shields might be too small. Sigma Shield definitely, and even Briggs Shield blocks it and cuts off LOS, making it so that he's no longer connected to them and able to keep the up timer up. So, I'm going to show you what that kind of looks like. I'm going to have Emong pop ult here, and I'm going to show you can bubble off his ult and very quickly eliminate Ramattra's ult whenever you're ready. With a little bit of bubble dancing and a little bit of movement, and even if he pressures into your team, Ramattra's ultimate is very easy to shut down. Okay, now that I've laid everything out on what Ramattra does and some of the interactions with them, I'm curious of what you think. Before I actually give my opinions on everything, though, I'm supposed to say subscribe to the channel. I am a terrible YouTuber and I forget to say things like that. So if you enjoy this type of content, make sure you subscribe, as well as to my second channel, Flats 2, which is actually where a lot of my talking/opinion pieces actually end up going nowadays. So if you're wondering where those went from this channel, they're over there. That being said, though, I'm going to give you my actual full thoughts on Ramattra. Contrary to most people's belief, I think he's not very good. I think that he actually is kind of a gimmick tank. I think he'll be very good at like pub stomping lower ranks. I think especially his ultimate is going to be one of those ults where you just pop it and like walk into the other 5 enemies and just stand there and they're going to shoot at you, and your 2 supports are probably playing Ana Moira are just going to sit there and just heal the tank the entire time. Then they're Ana Moira are going to sit there and heal the tank because they're not like looking to DPS or anything like that. And you know, it's in high level play not going to really work. He's really just, I think, really bad against like going through this list. I think he's really bad against Rhine. I think he's bad against Zarya. I think he's bad against Winston. I think he's bad against Doomfist. I think he's awful versus Hog. Like, Hog just destroys him. I think Sigma's better. Like, all of these tanks offer something else. Rhine, who's really bad right now in high elo, is the dominant tank up close. Ramattra's punchy punch form really doesn't hold the candle to the hammer swings and will get out-damaged and outmatched and overpowered over time. Sigma is a much better poking tank, having a constant shield that can be put up and taken off cooldown. his suck, which is a defense matrix off a 12-second cooldown, as well as a hard stun combo that can one-shot squishies if you land the left click and the rock together. He's just so much stronger. And then let's talk about the big pig in the room, Roadhog, who has just been absolutely dominating high-ranked play for the last few weeks. Now, some people look at Overwatch League and they're like, but in Overwatch League, you know, Winston was played true, but there's also a few things that went into that Overwatch League play. A lot of teams just kind of like didn't have much time. They only had 2 weeks. They had to pick a comp. They saw what was strong and they practiced it and they worked on it. And in contenders since then, Roadhog has actually been the #1 pick. And I think that Roadhog is going to dominate him. Like, he has a 4-second shield that sits up for a few seconds. That when that goes down, he gets hooked in and just gets rolled. He doesn't have great self-sustain. The Nemesis form is not bad. However, though, the range is not that impressive. 11 meters might sound like a lot on paper, but most poke fights going into a fight in Overwatch are much further than 12 meters. 12 meters is like Reinhardt range. If we were fighting Overwatch matches up this close all the time, you'd pick Reinhardt, and Reinhardt would be dominating. But unfortunately, that's just not the day-in-day Overwatch that we play. And I really didn't like that the way that he was mentioned as a tempo tank, and it's like, what tempo is he controlling? The best form he has is this sit back and poke form. And if you're gonna sit back and poke, play Sigma. You know, like, hell, I think Orisa might be a better poker at this point. Like I'm not even sure. Like, at least Orisa, when she gets up close, is pretty threatening. She's hard to kill and can displace people easily with a nice hard CC. Ramattra, actually, in most of the games that I played, tested him, ended up going in, popping his Nemesis form, and then doing this the entire time, which is kind of a bait because his block is useless. It's in the words of some other people that I had talked to and play with, it's a debuff. It's not like Doomfist, where Doomfist basically blocks to then empower his next punch and become aggressive and go on the attack. It is strictly a defensive, don't kill me move on an 8-second timer where you're supposed to be doing brawl damage, but the brawl damage is going to get outdone by other tanks, and he's really not that scary. And as you just saw from his Vortex, which is supposed to be like a big thing, and you know, the last 2 heroes have had this problem. Kiriko had it. Kiriko was marketed as this damage dealing support. But most of the pros actually play her as mostly a heal bot to build her ultimate, because her ultimate is the strongest part of her kit. Ramattra was very much marketed as like this, you know, this dominant, you know, brawl, get up close, and like you can still pull down Pharah Mercy Echo. But as you just saw from the playtest that I just showed you, or the little bit of testing I did with Emong, the skybox is not that high. I think he's going to get dominated. Granted, I don't think he's the worst tank in the game. I think that, you know, there are still others that probably hold that title. But I am really sad. I'm really sad that the next tank to come out in the game, probably I'm not going to be able to play that much, because unfortunately in higher elo, you don't get to pick what you want most of the time, unless you're an exceptionally good one trick at those heroes, and you know, that's just like your niche. You typically end up picking what's actually going to win you the game. And I don't think Ramattra is going to beat out half the other tanks, like your Roadhogs and your Sigmas, and you know, like, I just don't think he's going to beat them. So, my first impression of Ramattra is he's not very good. Very contrary to what the public belief was that he was going to be on OP. This is always why I put a little caveat at the end of every time I say something might be a little broken, is we gotta wait till we hear the numbers, because now the numbers are in, it's not impressive. So I hope that he'll get something at some point in the future, so we get to play him a little bit more. I'm sure he'll be a ton of fun to play. You know, for most people, and get to play in like quick play and whatnot. But I will say, Ramattra definitely was not the up-close, devastating, demanding brawl tank that we were led to believe. Well, now that you've heard what I have to think, I'm curious what you think. Ramattra is going to come out on December 6th. This is going to go on December 5th, so it'll be out tomorrow. And yeah, I hope we all get to have some fun playing them, at the very least. But I appreciate you guys as always. Thanks for always enjoying my content. Thanks for always supporting me. And, you know, I hope you do enjoy these types of videos where it's not only, you know, breaking down what the new character is going to do, but also giving my thoughts a little bit more about how we might operate in the game. Also, I think I'm supposed to say it again. If you enjoy this content and enjoy this channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Follow all my other stuff, Twitch, other YouTubes, more Flats 2. All that stuff, I'm sure you guys know. It's all in the description. You'll go find it if you're interested. Anyways, though, I appreciate you as always. Thanks so much for the support, and I'll see you again tomorrow.